Stanford University.
Welcome to the 2024 Stanford Commencement Ceremony. Please stand for the beginning of our ceremony.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
Welcome to Stanford University's 133rd Annual Commencement. We invite you to remain standing as you are able through our land acknowledgement and the invocation that follows. Here at Stanford, it is our tradition to begin all university ceremonies with a sacred land acknowledgement. Please welcome Melissa Eidman, class of 2024, who will offer it for us this morning.
Squeanakoi, Nak now Melissa Eidman. Woklau Kima Kanume. Good morning. My name is Melissa Eidman. Welcome and thank you for coming. As a Yurok tribal member and California Indian, I'm honored to take this time with you to acknowledge the land that Stanford sits on and continues to benefit from. Stanford sits on the ancestral land of the Muwekma Ohlone tribe. This land was and continues to be of great importance to the Ohlone people. Consistent with our values of community and inclusion, we have the responsibility to acknowledge, honor, and make visible the university's relationship with Native peoples. Woklau.
In that spirit of blessing, let us be together. This morning, we come to celebrate. The day for which we have longed has finally arrived. We have made it. While the world waits with bated breath to see what we will do next, we pause. Right now, we are called to quiet our minds and calm our spirits, to be present to this rite and ritual, this threshold we now cross between a student's past and a graduate's future. In this moment, May we remember with gratitude all those who made this day possible, who encouraged and empowered us, who nurtured and loved us. May we be reminded that our pursuit of knowledge and excellence is not simply for ourselves, but for the common good. And in this moment, may we be gentle with ourselves and gentle with one another, allowing our hearts to break open so that empathy and compassion become the very ground of our being as we meet the challenges of a broken yet beautiful world. Sometimes it is difficult to believe that hope and joy are possible, but let that not be this day. For this community gathered here is proof that hope is alive and joy persists this day and all days. Amen. You may be seated.
Thank you, Dean Steinwart. Graduates, Stanford faculty and staff, former and current trustees of our university, distinguished guests, family members, and friends, I want to thank you for joining us to celebrate Stanford's 133rd commencement. It's my honor to welcome all of you to today's celebration of these remarkable graduates. To our senior class members and our graduate students, congratulations on your impressive accomplishments. Today, with families and loved ones who have traveled from near and afar, we celebrate not only your achievements at Stanford, but all of the many accomplishments that you brought here. I'd like to begin by asking all of you to join me in thanking everyone who has made today's celebration possible, including the groundskeepers, the ushers, the event planners, and the crew. Thank you. Today, we will award 103 doctoral degrees, 2,575 master's degrees, and 1,838 bachelor's degrees. Our graduates include students from around the world. 176 members of our undergraduate class hail from 80 countries, and 1,301 graduate students come from 110 countries. These numbers illustrate the hard work and dedication of this impressive graduating class. They also suggest the great potential of this remarkable group of graduates to have a positive impact on our world. Graduates, in addition to your own hard work, our faculty and staff have dedicated themselves to nurturing your potential and encouraging your success. I'd like to take this moment to thank them for their support throughout your time at Stanford. Thank you. And your accomplishments are also due in part to the dedication, the encouragement, and the support of your family members and friends. They've championed you throughout your lives and throughout your years at Stanford. Many of your family members and friends are here today in the stands of the stadium, and others are watching this ceremony from around the world. Now, I'd like to ask all of our graduates, seniors and graduate students, to join in one of Stanford's cherished commencement traditions. Please rise if you are able and turn around and applaud your family and friends in the stands. And let me add my thanks to the family and friends for entrusting your students to us. It's now my pleasure to introduce Stanford's Provost, Jenny Martinez, who will present the winners of the University Awards.
It's now my privilege and pleasure to present the following prizes. The President's Award for Advancement of the Common Good, the Walter J. Gores Awards for Excellence in Teaching, the Lloyd W. Dinkelspiel Awards for Distinctive Contributions to Undergraduate Education, and the Kenneth M. Cuthbertson Award for Exceptional Contributions to Stanford University. Recommendations for these awards were considered by a committee of faculty, students, and staff. The President's Award for Advancement of the Common Good honors alumni who exemplify the university's mission and values and who demonstrate a commitment to learning, social responsibility, and ethical and effective service. I would like to ask the award recipients to come forward at this time. The recipients of the 2024 President's Award for the Advancement of the Common Good are Fred Swanaker, MBA 04, and Jose Padilla, 74. On behalf of the university, I congratulate you for this significant recognition of your contributions for the greater good of society. Thank you and congratulations. The Gores Awards were established by a bequest from Walter J. Gores, a Stanford alumnus of the class of 1917, and recognize excellent teaching at the undergraduate and graduate level. I would like to ask the recipients to come forward now, and I ask that you hold your applause until I've announced all of this year's award winners. The recipients of the 2024 Walter J. Gores Awards for Excellence in Teaching are Kemi Anike Oyewole, PhD candidate, Education Policy and Organization Studies. Amir Bamani, lecturer and director of Stanford Deep Data Research Center, Genetics. And Steve Luby, Lucy Becker Professor of Medicine, Senior Fellow, Woods Institute for the Environment, Senior Fellow, Freeman Spogli Institute for International Relations. On behalf of the university, I congratulate each of you for this recognition of your excellence in teaching. I would now ask the Dinkelspiel Award winners to come forward. Lloyd Dinkelspiel's service to Stanford included the presidency of the Board of Trustees in the 1950s and was characterized by an enduring concern for the quality of undergraduate education. The recipients of the 2024 Lloyd W. Dinkelspiel Award for Distinctive Contributions to Undergraduate Education are Ria Calcagno, BA candidate in Political Science, MS candidate in Computer Science. Alejandro Martinez, Executive Director, Threat Assessment Team, Legal Services. And Selene Rodriguez, MS candidate in Computer Science. Also receiving this award is Haoxue Yan, lecturer in Material Science and Engineering, who could not be with us today. On behalf of the university, I congratulate you all for this significant recognition of your contributions to undergraduate education. Thank you. Our next award is the Kenneth M. Cuthbertson Award for Exceptional Service to Stanford University. I would like to ask the Cuthbertson Award winner to come forward at this time. This award was established in 1981 to honor the late Kenneth Cuthbertson, who steered Stanford's long-range financial planning and development programs. The sole criteria of this award is the quality of the contribution that the recipient has made to Stanford. The recipient of the 2024 Kenneth M. Cuthbertson Award for exceptional contributions to Stanford University is Megan W. Pearson, Chief of Staff to the President and Secretary of the Board of Trustees. On behalf of the university, I congratulate you for this distinguished recognition of your exceptional service to Stanford. Thank you.
Good morning. Let me start with my heartfelt congratulations to our 2024 graduates and their families. This has been a challenging year, which makes your success all the more memorable. Your university careers have been marked by world historic events. You began your Stanford careers at the height of the pandemic, making your first friendships over Zoom. This past year has been a challenging, unpredictable time for our world. Terribly tragic wars have caused intense pain of loss and tensions throughout the community. But this morning, we want to celebrate your achievements in spite of a troubled environment. We will rely on you, your values, perseverance, and strength of character to make our world better. We will rely on you, your values, passion, perseverance, and strength of character to make our worlds better. While at Stanford, you've gained the tools and analytical skills to help you understand the world, analyze its shortcomings, and work on solutions that will make things better. The university has strived to give you the skills to listen to and learn from one another. I urge you to continue to be open to other points of view. Don't let your convictions shut out your ability to listen and learn. I want to urge you to embrace your futures with gratitude and with optimism, while acknowledging the suffering of others. You should feel gratitude to your family and to the Stanford community for an outstanding education that has equipped you for lives of exploration and learning. Genuine feelings of expressions of gratitude result in social cohesion and a stronger civil society. These social bonds are very much needed in the current context of division and polarization. Gratitude helps combat the hyper-individualism that assumes that a person's successes are a result solely of their own efforts. Of course, you've devoted a lot of intense effort and talent to your own successes so far in life, but those efforts have been in the context of what others have built and could not have been accomplished without the help and support of other individuals. Gratitude encourages reciprocity with all the social benefits that it brings. Grateful people enjoy better physical and emotional health, increased happiness, decreased depression, and decreased materialism. One of the consequences of the pandemic has been a wave of isolation as we experience the anxiety that proximity to one another might risk transmission of the virus. Reciprocity and gratitude offer the means to build healthy social networks based on trust and a better society. And now let me turn to optimism. In the context of current world events, it may seem naive to suggest that we should go out with a sense of optimism. Here, I think a knowledge of history offers a justification for optimism, and I speak here as a historian of ancient Rome. I don't mean to minimize the tragedies of the past 4 years, but it is a mistake to idealize or romanticize the past in a depressing narrative of decline and hopelessness. On most measures of well-being, your generation will be well ahead of ancient Romans and of Americans 100 years ago, and even ahead of my own generation. You're likely to live longer than your ancestors. Over the past century, life expectancy in the United States has increased by 40%. And since 1970, the life expectancy of the world's population has increased by a full 16 years. The mortality rate for children under the age of 15 has decreased from 50% in ancient Rome to 25% worldwide in 1950 to just 4% today. Most Romans lived their lives close to subsistence. Poverty still, unfortunately, exists today, but extreme poverty worldwide has been decreased from 1.9 billion in extreme poverty in 1990 to 800 million today, even as the population grew from 5 billion to 8 billion. That is a decline of 43% of the global population in extreme poverty to about 10% in a single generation. Along with that decline in extreme poverty, the world's population has shifted from being predominantly agrarian and illiterate to being predominantly urban and literate in a knowledge economy that you will be entering. The world literacy rate has increased from something under 10% in antiquity to 42% in 1960 to 87% today. With those dramatic changes has come the almost complete elimination of legal servitude, which was pervasive in the pre-modern era. In the long view of history, these are absolutely stunning changes, and a basic cause of improvement has been education and the discovery and dissemination of new knowledge to which you and Stanford are making signal contributions. Now, I want to avoid triumphalism. With those unprecedented positive developments have come huge challenges: environmental degradation, massively destructive weapons of war, and greater inequality of wealth. The benefits of technological advances haven't been evenly distributed. But these persistent evils should be put in the context of massive improvements. And I'm optimistic that your generation will take on the challenges with the knowledge and spirit that you have acquired here at Stanford. I wish you every success in that endeavor. And now it's my honor to introduce today's keynote speaker, philanthropist, businesswoman, global advocate for women and girls, and Stanford parent, Melinda French Gates. For more than 2 decades, Melinda has committed her time and her energy to fighting poverty and advancing equality, with a focus on the people for whom the barriers to equality are the highest. She's worked tirelessly to empower women and girls and transform the health and prosperity of families, communities, and societies. One of the largest philanthropic organizations in the world, the Gates Foundation, is dedicated to a world in which every person has the chance to lead a healthy and productive life. As co-chair, Melinda helped shape the foundation's strategies and set the organization's overall direction. In 2015, Melinda founded Pivotal, an organization that works to accelerate the pace of progress by bridging the worlds of philanthropy, venture capital, policy, and advocacy. Pivotal seeks to increase women's economic and political participation through efforts such as closing the wage gap, supporting better policies and solutions for caregivers, and helping women build their political power. Melinda is also the best-selling author of The Moment of Lift, in which she shares her journey to becoming an advocate for women and girls and introduces readers to inspiring women she has met. In 2023, she created the publishing imprint, Moment of Lift Books, dedicated to publishing original nonfiction by visionaries working for a more equal world. Melinda also co-founded the Giving Pledge alongside Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. The pledge serves as an invitation to the wealthiest people to publicly commit to giving the majority of their wealth to philanthropy. Melinda's own approach to philanthropy is data-driven and prioritizes flexibility over ideology. She makes a point of seeking out new ideas and perspectives. As she enters a new chapter in her philanthropy, Melinda recently announced that she's committing $1 billion over the next 2 years to people and organizations working on behalf of women and families around the world, including here in the United States. In her 2014 commencement speech here, Melinda said, quote, "Optimism for me isn't a passive expectation that things will get better. It's a conviction that we can make things better, that whatever suffering we see, no matter how bad it is, we can help people if we don't lose hope and we don't look away." Melinda Gates is a wonderful example of a person who has used her talents and her platform to make things better, to advance equity, opportunity, and social progress around the world. So please join me in welcoming Melinda French Gates.
Thank you, President Saller, and good morning, class of 2024. It is such an honor to be here with you and your families on this truly happy occasion. Today is the day you graduate from Stanford University, and that is an amazing accomplishment. Stanford has always held a special place in my family's heart. My dad, Ray French, received a scholarship to study mechanical engineering here in 1960. And while he worked on his master's degree, my mother, Elaine French, supported them with her job at a bottled water company. And on nights and weekends, she was my dad's lab assistant. There's an old photo I love of my mom, pregnant with my sister, standing next to the wind tunnel in the engineering lab with a clipboard and a stopwatch. Today, my mom and dad are back on campus for a very special occasion: to watch their granddaughter, Phoebe, graduate from the university that changed my dad's life. And Phoebe's not the only one to follow in his footsteps. My older daughter, Jen, and my son-in-law, Niall, earned degrees here too. So happy Father's Day, Dad, and to all the dads here. And Mom, thanks for making this story possible. I know there are many, many, many other parents, grandparents, and loved ones who are here and as proud to be here as my family and I are. Graduates, you have given us a lot to celebrate and also a lot to admire. You arrived on this campus already accomplished and ambitious young people. And during your time here, you've also proven how adaptable you are and what powerful advocates you are for the causes you believe in. Stanford is a demanding university, and your time here was made even more challenging by what was happening in the world all around you. From a once-in-a-century pandemic that changed the way you lived and learned, to multiple wars that I know this campus is feeling very, very deeply. There is no question you are graduating into a different world than the one you matriculated into. But you are also leaving this campus prepared to be the leaders that we all need. And today marks an important milestone in that journey. Shortly after I sit down, you will be invited to rise if you are able. You will hear that call as a Stanford student. You will answer that call as a Stanford graduate. And with that, a major transition in your life will begin. I've been thinking a lot lately about transitions. The spiritual leader Ram Dass had a wonderful teaching about two waves traveling through the ocean, one big and one small. And as the waves get closer to the land, the big wave sees what's about to happen. They see all the waves ahead of them are just crashing onto the shore. And devastated, The big wave says to the small wave, he warns them, the end is near. And the small wave just smiles and says, don't worry, we'll be fine. You don't understand, the big wave insists, we're done for. And the smaller wave is just totally calm and says, no, we're not. And I can explain why in just 6 words. You're not a wave, you're water. I love that story. It captures what it's like to experience an enormous transition without losing the core of who you are. I turned 60 this year, and you don't get to be my age without navigating all kinds of transitions. Some you embraced, and some you never expected. Some you hoped for, and some you fought as hard as you could. For me, those included starting my career at Microsoft, losing one of my very best friends to cancer, falling in love, having children, starting my work on behalf of women and girls, and ending a marriage and partnership of almost 30 years, and very recently, making a major career shift. In each case, there was a moment that I felt like that big wave, terrified that life as I knew it was about to be over. But I always made it to the next day, and so will you. And I've learned that the next day is when the real work begins. Because what we do the next day is what makes us who we are. So in addition to honoring all of your accomplishments today, I also want to offer you something to think about when you wake up tomorrow. 3 lessons I've learned from my own experience with transitions. The first piece of advice is to enter these moments with radical open-heartedness. Most of the time, we walk around through life in the thicket of our everyday routine. But during a transition, we step out of our familiar surroundings into a big, wide open space where everything is new. And there are 2 ways to encounter these spaces. You can keep your head down and focus on finding the shortest distance possible from one familiar thing to the next, or you can find the courage to linger in that liminal space and see what it has to tell you. That, to me, is practicing open-heartedness. I have to admit, as a young person, I managed transitions in the first way. I had a list of goals I wanted to accomplish, and as soon as I checked one off the list, I raced across the clearing to the next one. Because frankly, it was a lot less scary that way. But as I've gotten older, I've learned the value of embracing uncertainty. I'll give you one example of what this has looked like in my life. When I entered philanthropy more than 25 years ago, it was completely unfamiliar terrain. I didn't have any experience in global health or development yet. So I had a lot to learn, and I knew I'd need to pay attention. Now, initially, we thought the foundation's work was going to focus on vaccine access. But when I started traveling around the world to see the work in action, the women I met kept changing the subject. They'd say, what about the shots I used to get, they'd ask me. And they were talking about contraceptives. So I stopped, and I listened to what they had to say. And soon, I was talking about contraceptives on almost all my trips, and continuing those conversations back home with my team. And those conversations led to others. I learned how much society benefits when women are able to make their own decisions, control their own resources, and direct their own futures. And I began to focus my efforts there instead. I think back now to those early trips with such gratitude because the women I met took me in a new direction, and they led me to my life's work. Now, you are Stanford students, so I imagine most of you are graduating today with big plans for yourselves. Higher degrees to earn, causes to advance, companies to start, industries to disrupt. Those big, bold plans are wonderful, and the world needs you. But my advice is to leave some room for those plans to change. Resist the idea that anything you've done here at Stanford has already locked you into one path or any one kind of career. Be excited about the fact that you will encounter possibilities you haven't even imagined. And be willing to let what you learn shift your thinking about what you're here on this earth to do. Remember that once the wave learns to call itself by a different name, once it realizes it's not just a wave, but it is water, it becomes free to take on new forms. And the same is true for you. That brings me to my second piece of advice, and it's quite short. Find your small wave. In the story about the waves, the smaller wave is the hero because it helps the big wave see things another way. In fact, the small wave isn't small at all. It has the perspective on the big wave that the big wave doesn't have on itself. Graduates, no matter who you are or where you are in life, a small wave is an incredibly valuable thing to have. Different people will play that role for you at different times in life. In the early days of my career, that person was a colleague named Charlotte. From the moment I got to Microsoft, I absolutely loved the work we were doing. But as time went on, I realized I didn't love the culture. It was brash and aggressive, and that wasn't me. I was the only woman in my hiring class of MBAs, and I felt a lot of pressure to emulate the men around me. Eventually, I reached a point when I thought maybe I would leave the company. And like the big wave, I thought things were coming to an end for me. But Charlotte helped me see things differently. She was a little older and had a little bit more experience, and she'd already figured out how to navigate the culture there without losing her own identity. Having Charlotte in my life made it possible for me to imagine a future at Microsoft also. So graduates, I promise you that here in this stadium today, there is someone who is going to play that small wave role for you. Someone who can help you imagine yourself as the person you want to become. And just as important, there is someone here who needs you to serve that role for them in return. And that leads me to my final piece of advice today. Build a web of deserved trust. That beautiful phrase comes from the legendary businessman Charlie Munger, who changed this campus's landscape with the incredible student housing his generosity made possible. Charlie famously said that the highest form which civilization can reach is a seamless web of deserved trust. Totally reliable people correctly trusting each other. A web of deserved trust. What a thing to aspire to. As a society, we aren't always set up to feel responsibility for the person who's next to us or the person who's on the other side of a divide or a debate, especially not right now. But we need each other. No matter who you are, there will be moments in your journey when you need to be carried or when someone else will need you to carry them. When my good friend John died at age 37, I was one of a small group of people who tried to carry his wife, Emmy, to the other side of her grief. 3 years ago, when my marriage ended, she was one of the people who carried me to the other side of mine. That bond between us is incredibly profound. But of course, what Charlie was talking about was much bigger than that. A whole society based on that kind of relationship. A bond so strong and reciprocal, but multiplied millions and billions of times over. During your time here as a student, you've borne witness to many painful reminders of how the world is still falling short of that vision. But you have also demonstrated just how ready you are to be the force for progress the world needs. Yes, you are graduating into a broken world, but it is community that rebuilds things. You've already started building that community here, and together is how you'll make the broken things whole again. But first, you need to graduate. And in a few minutes, when you and your classmates are invited to rise, I hope you will hear in that invitation a call to action. I hope you'll think of everyone who helped you reach this milestone today and vow to pay forward the investments they made in you. Most of all, I hope you will step forward into the future with radical open-heartedness, emboldened by the wisdom and perspective of the smaller, wiser waves that travel with you, committed to expanding the seamless web of deserved trust you have already begun to weave around you. And when you wake up tomorrow, no longer the person you are today, and not yet the person you will become next, I hope you will draw courage and confidence knowing that you graduates are water, the force that shapes the shore. What a powerful force you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda, for those words, and we really are grateful for your participation in today's ceremony. Now, will the Provost please present the candidates for degrees?
Mr. President, first, I have the honor to recognize all those who have completed the requirements for master's and doctoral degrees. They will be presented to you by the deans of their schools.
Will the candidates from the School of Engineering please stand if you are able? Mr. President, I present to you those who have completed the requirements for the degrees of Master of Science, Engineer, and Doctor of Philosophy.
Thank you, Dean Whittam. By the authority vested in me by the faculty and trustees of this university, I'm delighted to confer publicly upon you the degrees for which you have been presented and to admit you to their rights, responsibilities, and privileges. Congratulations.
Will the graduates from the School of Engineering please be seated?
Will the candidates from the School of Law please stand if you're able? Mr. President, I present to you those who have completed the requirements for the degrees of Doctor of Jurisprudence, Master of Laws, Master of Legal Studies, Master of the Science of Law, Doctor of the Science of Law.
Thank you, Dean Brest, and thank you for your service as interim dean of the law school this year. By the authority vested in me by the faculty and trustees of this university, I am delighted to confer publicly upon you the degrees for which you have been presented and to admit you to their rights, responsibilities, and privileges. Congratulations.
Will the graduates from the School of Law please be seated?
Will the candidates from the Graduate School of Education please stand if you are able? Small but mighty. Mr. President, I present to you those who have completed the requirements for the degrees of Master of Arts, Masters of Science, and Doctor of Philosophy.
Thank you, Dean Schwartz. By the authority vested in me by the faculty and trustees of this university, I'm delighted to confer publicly upon you the degrees for which you have been presented and to admit you to their rights, responsibilities, and privileges. Congratulations.
Will the graduates from the Stanford Graduate School of Education please be seated?
Okay, will the candidates from the School of Humanities and Sciences please stand if you are able? Mr. President, I present to you those who have completed the requirements for the degrees of Master of Arts, Master of Fine Arts, Master of Liberal Arts, Master of Public Policy, Master of Science, Doctor of Musical Arts, and Doctor of Philosophy.
Thank you, Dean Satz. By the authority vested in me by the faculty and trustees of this university, I am delighted to confer publicly upon you the degrees for which you have been presented and to admit you to their rights, responsibilities, and privileges. Congratulations.
Will the graduates from the School of Humanities and Sciences please be seated?
Will the candidates from the Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability please stand if you're able? Mr. President, I present to you those who have completed the requirements for the degrees of Master of Arts, Master of Science, and Doctor of Philosophy.
Thank you, Dean Majumdar. By the authority vested in me by the faculty and trustees of this university, I'm delighted to confer publicly upon you the degrees for which you've been presented and to admit you to their rights, responsibilities, and privileges. Congratulations.
Will the graduates from the Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability please be seated?
Will the candidates from the Graduate School of Business please stand? Mr. President, I present to you those who have completed the requirements for the degrees of Master of Arts in Business Research, Master of Science in Management, Master of Business Administration, and Doctor of Philosophy.
Thank you, Dean Levin. And on the occasion of your final commencement as Dean of the Graduate School of Business, please accept my thanks for your service to the GSB and my very best wishes as you take on the mantle of Stanford presidency. By the authority vested in me by the faculty and trustees of this university, I'm delighted to confer publicly upon you the degrees for which you have been presented and to admit you to their rights, responsibilities, and privileges. Congratulations.
Will the graduates from the School of Business please be seated?
Will the candidates from the School of Medicine please stand if you are able? Mr. President, I present to you those who have completed the requirements for the degrees of Master of Science in Physician Assistant Studies, Master of Science, Doctor of Philosophy, and Doctor of Medicine.
Thank you, Dean Minor. By the authority vested in me by the faculty and trustees of this university, I am delighted to confer publicly upon you the degrees for which you have been presented and to admit you to their rights, responsibilities, and privileges. Congratulations.
Will the graduates from the School of Medicine please be seated?
Provost Martinez, have we left anyone out?
I don't know. Is anybody left? Now, Mr. President, I have the honor to recognize all those who have completed the requirements for undergraduate degrees. Mr. President, I present to you those who have completed the requirements for the Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science degrees, and the Bachelor of Arts and Science degree.
By the authority vested in me by the faculty and trustees of the university, I am delighted to confer publicly upon each of you the bachelor degree and admit you to its rights, responsibilities, and privileges. Congratulations.
Will the graduates please be seated?
Thank you, Provost Martinez. Graduates, on behalf of Stanford University, let me again repeat our congratulations to you and to your families on this joyous occasion. As you take your next steps, I urge you to do so in a mental framework of learning and benefiting the society around you. I know that you will use your skills to make our world better, and I look forward to the future with gratitude and optimism. Congratulations, class of 2024. Now, please rise if you are able for the Stanford hymn and the benediction.
Let us be together one last time. As the ceremony ends and the true commencement begins, may we shift our gaze to the long arc of human history, remembering the power of gratitude and optimism to propel progress. May we embrace radical open-heartedness, lingering in the liminal space of uncertainty and remaining open to listening and learning always. And may we forge strong bonds of deserved trust, weaving communities that are compassionate, repairing, tending, and mending the brokenness of our beautiful world. And above all else, as the waves of life crash over and around us, may we draw courage and confidence in the knowledge of who we truly are. Amen.
Graduates, please remain seated until the faculty has left the field. Thank you.
For more, please visit us at stanford.edu.